Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I go by One Chief Compadre and you're watching Cheap Stocks TV, where on my channel we're talking about savings, investing, and even politics. So it looks like our Reverend Amos Brown had just spoke to Roland Martin, and he specifically stated that he was misquoted on speaking about blacks should not be receiving reparations. Actually, he's for payments for reparations, but he wanted to add on programs as well. But I'm here to tell you that the Fillmore, Hunters Point, Sunnydale, and many other communities in San Francisco already have programs. They already have programs for the homeless. They also have programs for work programs as well. So San Francisco does not need any more programs or jobs. What they need is wealth, generational wealth. We're not trying to close the wealth gap. We're trying to surpass the wealth gap. All right. So he said he was in favor of paid reparations on Roland Martin. The problem he was stated is he wanted to have programs along with paid reparations, because he was saying that political members in office were telling him that San Francisco is facing a deficit. So they didn't mention they were facing a deficit when they allowed for millionaires and billionaires to come to San Francisco and startup companies. They didn't say that they were going through a deficit when banks were giving these companies to create startups in California. So all of a sudden, there's an issue with the deficit now, because this is money that's going to be given to the black community. And basically, you should just say that you don't want to give it to the black community, that you care nothing for the black community, and you're going to come up with lame excuses in order not to pay. Just say that, so we can all know that you care nothing for the black community. Okay? Because you were able to allow people to come to California, start up businesses, get tax breaks, and also banks are giving out loans so that these millionaires and billionaires can start up companies in California and become very wealthy. So all of a sudden, deficit is an issue. Stop making excuses and keep your promise to the community of San Francisco and other parts of California. Many parts of California, land, property was taken away from black people. Just because California is a free state in the Union doesn't mean that slavery was not in California. This is the reason why you have fugitive slave acts, where they have bounty hunters go into free states and capture their runaway slaves and bring them back to the slave owner. This is why we have a case, very well-known case, known as Dred Scott decision, where you had a slave who sued his slave owner because he was going with his slave owner into free states. And he sued his slave owner, and he lost the case. And you know why he lost the case? Because even though he was going in these free states, he was considered what? Still property. Okay? So stop with the BS about California being a free state. It does not mean that there was no slaves in California. It does not mean that blacks face discrimination in California. They lost homes, they lost land. Even though some became wealthy, they still ended up losing their land when they passed away. A lot of the land, especially in San Francisco, in the financial district, there was a name by the name of William Lindendorf, who was a millionaire. He is the original governor. He is the original mayor of San Francisco. And he had land in financial district. His plaque is downtown. And all that land that the financial district has belonged to him. And it was a white lawyer that stole his land, gave $75,000 to his mother in the Caribbean, and stole the land. So stop playing these games. You guys know that you owe reparations to the black community. You just don't want to pay. So just admit it. You don't want to pay. You don't want to give up the money, which you know that these people deserve. California did not say deficit when the banks were giving startup money. Why is it a problem now? That's the question. Why is it a problem? Why you don't want to give up the money? Just say it. Stop lying to the people. Stop coming up with excuses not to pay. You just don't want to pay. You have the money, and don't talk about deficit. This whole United States has $3 to $4 trillion in debt, and they still were able to find money to give to Ukraine to fight against the Soviet Union. So if they can do it, you can do it. If you can give tax breaks to people starting startups in San Francisco and other parts of the Silicon Valley, if you can allow for banks to give out loans to people to start startups so they can increase the valuation of their companies, you can give money to pay back reparations. And it just doesn't even just start and end with slavery. You have many other cases that people in California face who were black. Okay, you have redlining, all right, devalued communities, all right. You have other situations like the war on drugs that started in the 1970s, all right, with Richard Nixon, and then with Ronald Reagan, and then ended with Clinton, all right. So from the 1970s to the 1980s to the 1990s. So black people experiencing discrimination in California is nothing new. It's not unheard of, even though it was a free state. So stop playing these games and give people what they deserve. Do what is right and what is easy. And what is easy now for you guys to come up with all these lame excuses not to pay. And people are tired of it. We don't need any programs. We don't need any jobs. We need generational wealth that'll help us surpass the gap between black and white. We don't want to compete with them. We want to surpass them. We don't want to close the wealth gap. We want to surpass the wealth gap. So stop playing with our wealth. We want it, and we don't want to play political back and forth with people. You know what you need to do. You know how people can be qualified. Don't act like this is something that is out of the ordinary or something hard to do. All you need is for people to have a birth certificate that state that they are from California, all right? And that they can be traced to somebody who was a slave or somebody who became a free man. It's simple as that. If it's that difficult that you can't fathom the reason or the ways to do it, just ask Professor Henry Gates. He's been giving people DNA, especially those who are celebrities now in the media. So it's very easy to do. All you have to do is just swab your mouth, and he can trace back as enough information that you'll be able to give those who qualify. All right? So please stop playing these games. Stop with the rhetoric. All right? If you need a history lesson, let me know, and I can break it all down for you. All right? It's really that simple. It's not that complicated. All right? So make sure this become viral. Let everyone know that people are watching, and they're not allowing for people to speak out for them, especially when it comes to programs and jobs. People do not want that. They don't need that. They want reparations. They want $5 million, and they want $97,000 a year for 250 years. They want land. They want property. They want money to start their own business, because no longer do they want to just use money to buy rims and cars and jewelry. They want to use that money to start their own startup in their own tech industry so they can compete with the likes of Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Zuckerberg, and many others. All right? So let this go viral, people. Let's let something go viral.